This week, I'm driving the 2025 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid, and what I'm going to do in this video is just do a walkthrough of the technology, because this is a limited trim, which costs around $38,000, and it pretty much has all of the tech goodies that you can imagine. So, let's take a closer look at this week's car du jour, the 2025 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid. Now, the first thing I want to do is just give you a sense of what I am looking at in this vehicle. So, yeah, the most obvious thing you're going to notice is this does have the large screen that kind of goes all the way from the driver gauge cluster all the way through to the infotainment system. We've seen this in some other Hyundai vehicles, and we've seen this most recently in some of the new Genesis vehicles, the GV80 SUV and Coupe. But one of the interesting things that I'm going to point out with this vehicle is the screen has an ending. So it's not a continuous screen that goes all the way through. You can see this pretty well when you go into the map. So the map is white, and you can see there's like a line that ends right there. So not a continuous screen, but a screen that goes all the way across, if that makes any kind of a sense. So, we'll start looking at this. You do have your map screen, and then you can make it a split screen if you want. And I like the idea that you can have the full map, or you can have some little widgets over here that you can scroll through to see what is going on in the vehicle. So looking at the gauge right here, I'll be honest with you, it is not really that configurable. So you do have this little button right here, and you can scroll through some things on the center. But yeah, that's going to be about it. You don't get a map back here. You don't get any really cool graphics. You can switch this up-ish, but to me it's kind of disappointing, because the previous iterations of Hyundai vehicles gave you a few more options of what this could look like. So if you go into setup and you go into your cluster and your head-up display, so your cluster, you can go into your theme selection. And so right now we have simple. You can go classic, so that's simple, that's classic. You can go to, it's got graphic style. So right now we're in style A, but you can link it to the drive mode if you want. But this is style B and style C. So A, B, C. And then if you put it in simple, A, B, C. I have to admit, I kind of like the classic. So I'm always a little bit irked when you go with a full digital display and then you don't let me do anything cool with it. Why give me a really cool digital display and then do nothing with it? I don't know. So take it or leave it. Style A. Okay, so not really configurable, but you do have some options. You have your graphic items, your menu items right here that you can kind of scroll through. And I mean, I just think generally this looks pretty good. I think Hyundai has done a good job with this, and I am, I think this is pretty responsive. It moves pretty well, and, the map is good. So I generally like this. I generally think they have done a good job with it. All right, now I'm going to do a deeper dive into some of the menu items here, and I figure it might be a little bit more helpful for me to flip the camera around. So, the first thing I want to talk about with this map screen, so this is the native system here, and this is not Google built in, but it will require a subscription fee. So this is Hyundai's native map system, and they will give you 3 years of this for free, which means they will do over-the-air updates to the map. And I don't know, let's see if we can look at the highway. Usually on the highway, you will see some real-time traffic going on. And all of that is a subscription fee. So By the way, that is also not where I live. So I'm not parked in front of my house. So it looks really nice. I like the fact that it takes up the whole screen, but as I said, it will become a subscription fee if you would like to use this after 3 years. Now, a really cool thing is this right here, which is Apple CarPlay. And you will notice that it is finally wireless in the Hyundai environment. So let's talk a little bit about what just happened there. So I got a text message, and because I was in the native system and I got a text message, it actually turned Apple CarPlay on just to notify me I got the text message, and it was like, hey, you know, do you want to look at this? Do you want to check this out? And when I didn't respond, then it went back to the native system because that's where I was. So usually I'll be very honest with you. I kind of live in an Apple environment. So I would go into Apple CarPlay and I would just be using Apple Maps or Waze. It depends. Like if I'm in the city, I use Apple Maps. If I'm on the highway and I'm heading down to Indianapolis or, you know, a place where there are going to be cops parked on the side of the street, I usually use Waze. I will be honest with you. But I live in this environment. And I like that it's wireless. I like that it is very, you know, it fills out the screen really well. And, you know, I've recently been getting into arguments with people about Apple CarPlay. And one of the new arguments that has come up is the fact that Apple CarPlay is mediocre. And frankly, I don't find it to be mediocre. I live in this environment. I very rarely switch back and forth between Apple CarPlay and the native system or the native environment. And so this is perfect for me. It has everything that I need. And in the Hyundai vehicles, because they don't put their climate controls and things up into the screen, you don't have to go into the native system to adjust your temperature, to adjust your heated seats, or any of the things. So, or even your audio. You have your tuning button and your volume button, or your tuning dial, I guess I should say, and your volume dial here, and then you can do all of the things you want without leaving your Apple environment. So I like that. I do not find it mediocre, especially not in this vehicle. There are some vehicles I think that make it a little bit clunky, and they're probably doing that on purpose, but in this vehicle, I like it, and it works really well. So there are a couple ways that you can get back to the native environment if you would like to. You don't want to be in Apple CarPlay. You can hit this right here, and it takes you back to the main menu. Or the other thing you can do is hit this right here. So you don't even have to hit the screen. You don't have to swipe or do anything to go back to the native menu. And I like that. I think that makes it work. And yeah, I do not find Apple CarPlay mediocre. So if you want to drill into some of these a little bit, you can go into the setup, and you have various things that you can do. We already looked at the cluster and the head-up display, but if you wanted to adjust your sound profile, you can do that for road noise, dynamic speed compensation. This is a pretty good sound system. So I mean, it's not on the same level as something like a Bang & Olufsen, but Bose does a really good job with the sound system in this vehicle. Vehicle settings, so you can go into your driver assistance here, and it shows you what your driver assistance capabilities are, and you can turn things on and off. So I get questions a lot from people, well, that's too loud, it's too annoying, I don't like the nannies, I don't want the safety feature, can I turn it off? In most instances you can. You're probably going to have to play around with your settings and with, you know, go into and dig into these screens a little bit. But in Hyundai vehicle driver assistance, your safety nannies are right here. And so you can just turn them off or turn them on if you want. And I like the fact that you can turn them on or off. You know, and while we're here, because we're going to talk about this a little bit later, I've actually also had a lot of people talk to me about the smart trunk feature on Hyundai, Kia, Genesis vehicles. And I literally just sent a friend a video from this car. They have a Kia and they don't like the smart trunk feature because it is very aggressive. And literally, I'm trying to get into my garage. I unlock the door and I can't get in my garage fast enough and lock the door and walk around the side of the vehicle without the trunk opening. So it's kind of annoying because then I have to shut the trunk every time I get into the car. So if you don't like that feature, and I will show you this feature later, if you don't like it, you just go into vehicle and then your door, and then your smart trunk, and then you can turn it on or off that way. So if you don't like the smart trunk, you are not stuck with it. You can turn it off. But if you like it, just leave it alone. So you've got a lot of menu options here that you can kind of dig into. So I would strongly recommend that you do that if you are an owner, because you're going to want to customize this vehicle for you. Now, one more thing that I want to point out on here is the idea of a digital key. So Hyundai and Genesis now offer what they're calling Digital Key 2. So that means it can be on both Android and iPhones, and it's Bluetooth capable. So you can essentially ditch your key fob. You can ditch your key fob and you can just use your phone as the key. And then when you walk up to the vehicle will unlock. It will, you put your phone down and it will start. So your phone becomes the key. And I think that's really a cool feature because I'll be honest with you, I would leave my house without my head attached if it weren't attached. But I very rarely leave without my phone. It's happened a couple of times, but I feel like my phone is a part of my body, even though it's not attached. So so I like that idea. I like the fact that you can use this as a smart key. So going back to subscription fees, this is another interesting thing. Hyundai and Genesis are some of the only manufacturers that include remote connect features for free for the life of the ownership. So for the first owner, digital key is going to be free. Remote start is going to be free. So if you wanted to turn remote start on from your phone, that is going to be free. A lot of automakers are charging subscription fees. So the only thing I would say to you is if you're buying a new vehicle and you really you're gonna download the app and you want to use all the features, ask questions. How long are the free trials, and what is the subscription fee going to be when the free trial expires? So for remote features in the Hyundai and Genesis vehicles, they do not expire. For the map features, you have 3 years. So just ask questions. You don't have to subscribe to these things, but if you like these features and you want them, eventually a lot of them become subscription fees. Ask questions. Now, one final thing that I'm just going to point out while we have the camera in this direction is while you have split screen capability here with this map, as soon as you go into your Apple CarPlay, you no longer have split screen capability. So if you are listening to Sirius XM radio, AM radio, FM radio, and you wanted to easily access that, you are going to have to either switch your modes. You're going to have to go into your home button and then go back to the native system to be able to do that. Or, I mean, you can... My husband was in here. He does not like my music. So what he was doing the other day is he was literally just going through the tuning knob without leaving Apple CarPlay to be able to find a song that he liked. So there are multiple ways to interface with this, and you'll get used to it as an owner. But I figured that was just one thing that I wanted to point out, is there is no split screen capable in Apple CarPlay. All right, now I'm going to go back into my garage because I want to show you a couple more features that are tech-oriented, one of which is the camera, the backup camera for this vehicle, and we'll take a look at a couple of other things. Okay, I am in my alley and I am going to back into my garage. So I hit reverse. It's noting that I am close to a trash can on the rear right. because I have to be when I'm trying to back into my garage. And I really like this camera system. So it's very clear. I like the around view. I like the split screen. I like the fact that it's showing me visibly, okay, these are the things that you are close to, be aware. And you can see this is yellow, so I'm close, but I'm not too close. But this is just a really, really clear camera. And it's saying that I'm really close to the side here, so I'm paying attention. And it always makes it look like I'm closer than what I am. But you know what? I would rather be more aware than not aware, because I don't want to hit anything. And I usually try to get as far over to the left as possible because I do have a neighbor who parks in here and they tend to get a little close to the line, and I want to make sure we both have room to get out of our vehicles. So yeah, that incessant beeping is annoying. And I do think you can turn off the beeping, but I like the beeping because it does give me a good audible representation if it thinks I'm close to something. So yeah, I really like the camera. And as you saw, like, it's kind of dark in my garage right now. And this is still really clear and bright. So you know, it doesn't get dim. I don't know. I like it. They've done a very good job with it. Now, while we are in the darkness of my garage, there are a couple more things that I want to show you. And the first is going to be the ambient lighting. So you do have some ambient lighting going on here. It's not super aggressive. You see it on the door panel, you see it on the dash kind of going under the screen, but it doesn't show up in the floor wells and it doesn't show up surrounding the seats. But, you know, it's a nice little accent. And you can change the colors. So you go into your setup and you see your different options again. You go into vehicle, you go into lights, and here in your ambient lighting, you can change the brightness so you can dim it up if you don't like it, or you can make it super bright. I kind of like it bright. And then you can change the color. Right now I have it set to a custom color because I kind of wanted pink and there wasn't really a pink option, but you do have some static colors that you can go through. Or again, you can do your own custom color, whatever that may be. So I really like the ambient lighting. And then the last thing I wanted to show you just while we were in the dark, because I think it shows up really well, is your blind view monitor. So whenever you turn on your blinker, you have this blind view monitor that shows up behind the wheel, and it gives you a really good view of your blind spots so that you don't turn into anything, scrape anything. So like I turn my blinkers on when I am parallel parking, and so it just kind of gives you another view in addition to your backup camera showing what is around your vehicle when you're parking. So yeah, blind view monitor, I like that. Now, before I show you my absolutely favorite feature on the Hyundai Sonata, I'm going to show you one that kind of annoys me because I want to like it, but I don't like the implementation of it. So I get into my garage and I find that I have a hard time, getting to my car door before this happens. Because I unlock the door, I relock the door, and there's only 3 seconds that happen between me coming in, the vehicle recognizing that I'm here with the key fob, and it starts to go up. And because I'm locking my door, that's just not enough time for me to get around the side of the vehicle before the trunk opens. So I usually make it up to the door and then it opens, and then I'm like, damn it. And then I have to come back and close it. So as I showed you earlier, for me right now in my life, I would probably turn this feature off. Because again, as much as I want it to work and as much as I really like it, it's a little bit too aggressive. I think maybe 4 seconds would be enough. 3 seconds is not enough for me. But I tell you, I've been playing a little bit of a game this week. How fast can I be today? I think I've managed to beat the trunk once. Jill versus the trunk. I think I've got one, and the trunk has like 20. Yeah. Now I'm going to show you my favorite thing on the Hyundai Sonata. You've probably noticed that I have a little bit of a narrow pathway here to get in and out of my vehicle. And, you know, it's necessary because I'm trying to get as close to the wall as I can so that I have space between my neighbor and my car so we can both get in and out of the vehicle fine. Now, I could actually be closer to the wall and still get in and out of this vehicle without problems, but somebody bigger than me is gonna have a problem trying to get in and be close to this wall. So that's why this feature, I think, is really cool. It works really well in tight city spaces, and that is your Smaht Pahk functionality. So I just wanted to go through a little bit about how it works. So the idea is you lock the doors and you have to click it twice. Then you hit the remote start button. And once the vehicle is on, you can move to your buttons on the side and the vehicle will just kind of come out. So I'm feeling a little bit nervous about that, but let's see what happens. I'm gonna keep going. It looks like it's gonna fit. Yep, all right, so there you go. You can pull it out, pull it beyond the trash can. You just take your finger off the button and then you have easier access to enter the vehicle. Yeah, I just really like that feature. I think it works really well and it's just very cleverly done. Now, the other thing I'm gonna point out with Hyundai vehicles, with remote start, the vehicle is actually on, but in order for you to put the vehicle into gear, you have to have the key fob in the vehicle. And now it will let me use the gear shifter and I can put it into drive to turn out of my alley, or I can, you know, back into my space or whatever. But yeah, I was able to get in my vehicle without having to struggle or worry about hitting the wall, and yeah, I just really love the Smaht Pahk feature. And that is just a quick tech check of the 2025 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid. There is a lot of cool stuff here as you level up into the limited trim, and I really like this. The other thing I'd like to point out is that even though I didn't get to do a lot of highway driving this week, I was only averaging about 26 miles per gallon. But if you look at the since last reset fuel economy, it was 43.3 miles per gallon. So again, there's a lot of good stuff here. And overall, I really like the Hyundai Sonata Hybrid. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time with a new car du jour.